When I told people that I'm going to South Korea, almost everybody around me was like, "What?" So I'm not talking about Africans alone. I'm talking about Asians too. They're also telling me to be careful of South Korea. That's what I mean. Like almost everybody's like, "Okay, hey, you're going to South Korea. Be careful." And so they were actually telling me to go to Japan more than to go to South Korea. I'd already bought my ticket and visa. I got my visa as well for both countries. So I was like, I'm going to both countries anyway. But most people were like, oh, you should go to Japan more. You're going to have more experience. Yeah, 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 yeah. You will love it more. There was in South Korea. South Korea is not really that. There's nothing much there. And they are like, be careful. They don't like, Africans, or they don't like black people. They were also saying that South Korea that is not safe. I think I had something like South Korea can be dangerous, is not safe. I also had that South Korea, they kind of don't like other Asian race. They feel like they are the top of other races. So I don't know if the word is to say like you feel inferior. They feel like other races, Asian people or Asian countries are inferior to them. So these are all the things I was hearing about South Korea, and I was just like, oh my god, the bulk of my trip, the whole bulk chunk of my trip, most of it was supposed to be in South Korea. And for the first time in my life of all my exploring whatever, I had that little bit of fear. I'm never afraid of any country I go to. I'm never afraid of traveling or doing whatever. But I felt a little bit of fear, and I was like, what? Should I still go to this country? Because just I cannot I cannot be this afraid and go. But I was like, well, the explorer in me and the bold lady in me were like, let's go. I mean, what's the worst that will happen? There are black people there, they didn't die. So I remember I was telling my colleague then that there are black people, there are Africans in Korea, and they are doing fine. If they didn't die, if nothing bad happened to them, then maybe I just want to see for myself. And that was the thing. So why am I making this video? Why am I making this video? I'm just making this video to say that sometimes you have to be the crazy one. You have to be the one to just go out and be like, boom, I want to do this. I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to people. I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to those that have, experienced and they've done things like. I'm just saying that sometimes you can never know if you don't go out to try. That's just what it means. Like, and you not trying can just mean that you have this small barrier you have created for yourself, or boundary you've created for yourself, that is stopping you from experiencing a much more better life than you would have expected, a much more beautiful life that you're experiencing at the moment. So that was what happened to me. If I had stayed behind and I was like, oh, I don't, everybody says South Korea is bad, okay, I won't go, I would have missed out on this amazing, beautiful country that I really, really, really love right now. And I enjoyed my experience there. Although I stayed for like 3 weeks or thereabout, but I really enjoyed my experience. And compared to the Japan everybody was telling me to go to, if I was to measure how I was treated according to what everybody was saying, I felt like in South Korea I was treated a bit more better than in Japan. So again, I'm not saying that both countries don't have good and bad people. They all both have good and bad people. It's just the ratio to at which the number of people I meet, the amount of encounters I have, the ratio of people, the way people treated me nicely was more in South Korea compared to Japan. That's what I'm trying to say. So it was the opposite of what I heard about South Korea. And it was, and I noticed that South Korea is pretty safe. South Korea is pretty safe. So if you're not going to like the club or one of those places where people get drunk and they do things, or you're not going out on a date with somebody and going to his house or her house or whatever, if you're not doing any of those things or trying so much to integrate into the South Korean society when you don't really have to, if you're not doing any of all these things, the South Korea is a really nice country because everybody's just minding their business. Nobody's paying attention to you. You have your life to yourself. You can do whatever you want. It is really a nice country. The food is nice. It's so similar to our style of food. They are very cultural, similar to African as well. As an African, they have this respect thing. That in Japan also they have it. They have it in Japan as well. They all bowing down stuff. We have that too, but theirs is a bit different because they bow down to everybody, but we bow to elders, right? It's more like to the elders, but that's even another discussion for another day. But I'm just saying that sometimes you never know. You never know. And this thing of like, you know, closing yourself up and saying, following what everybody is saying sometimes may not really help. Sometimes you just have to be the, like I said earlier, be the crazy one. Go out there, see things for yourself. And I wouldn't say you should discard everything everybody says. Like, okay, oh, don't listen to anybody else. No. Sometimes you need to know when you really need to listen to people. And the thing is, you need to know when is the right time to say, okay, I'd rather just go with my instinct and follow my mind. And when it's the right time to say, okay, I listen to people. Probably like they've been in this experience and they know a lot of stuff, so I'll listen to them. So yeah. It was a really, really nice experience. I'm so happy I went to South Korea. I'm so happy I also went to Japan. Although I stayed in South Korea more compared to Japan, but the experiences I have in Japan compared to South Korea was more intense. It wasn't as good as South Korea, and the way people were there, when people behave, like I said, the ratio of good and bad when it comes to people was much more better in South Korea. Because, for example, I'll give you an instance. In South Korea, for example, when I was in Seoul, I went to Seoul specifically. If I need help and I go to like a random guy, right, or a random girl, most especially, I will use the ratio based on the guys now. The guys are very gentle. They want to help you out. They are like, oh, they are really patient, right, to help you. But in Japan, on the contrary, because it's mostly guys that I had this experience with, women are really calm. I never had any bad experience with women, so that's why I'm using the guys. In Japan, on the contrary, I had almost 2-3 cases of guys just saying, screaming and shouting, "I'm busy, don't talk to me." Or like there was one case of a receptionist or one of those people, like hotel attendant and all, at the airport. You could see the tone, the way he was talking, like he was getting angry already because I was asking him questions about the hotel. They are not patient in Japan. That's just the experience I got from them. And so this bad experience now. But in Korea, I never got that experience, only one time, and that was with an older man that did not understand the language and English, and he probably got a little bit frustrated with not being able to explain, and he's like, just go there, go there, go there. And that was it. I stayed 3 weeks in Korea, and I stayed like 8 days or something, 10 days or something in Japan, and I can count how many people had that experience. I had that experience with, but I never got that experience only in South Korea, except once. So people were a bit more nicer if I had to look like the proportion of good and bad people based on my experience. The only thing I noticed for Japan is that in Japan you meet very good people and very bad people. That's just it. There's no balance. But in South Korea, there is that balance. So you can meet a very nice person. Like I met a guy that just took me to where I was. He was trying to explain where I should go to, and he literally just took me there. And we had to walk like some minutes, you know. He left whatever I was doing and took me there. That's how nice they can be. And on the contrary as well, you have people that are the opposite that will just scream and shout. So um it's just to say that every country has their own whatever, and just go out and explore. You never know. You never know. Like don't let what you're hearing about a country limit you. At the same time, be careful. That's my story, my whatever for today. And if you want to follow my chronicles, my South Korean and Japan chronicles, subscribe to this channel and follow me. I'm not promising I would all the time, every whatever bring videos out about South Korea and Japan, but I'll try my best whenever I'm free. I'll show you guys some of my experiences there, how it feels like there as a tourist. And if you like also this hair that I'm wearing, it's from itseasyhair.com. You can go check them out. And till we meet again, ciao.